I'm a small business owner, and before I got married, I used to run a catering business full time. Back then, I was able to put all my time and energy into it. I loved cooking for events and working with different clients. Kept me busy, but it was something I really enjoyed doing. However, things changed after I met my husband and we got married. Once we started our life together, my responsibilities at home increased. Running a catering business is not easy. It takes a lot of time, planning, and effort. It can be very stressful, especially when you have to handle everything on your own. Now, my husband and I have 2 kids. I spend most of my time taking care of them and managing the household. I do the cooking, cleaning, laundry, and other daily chores. My husband doesn't help much with the housework, so I'm usually the one making sure everything is in order. Because all of these responsibilities, I decided it would be too hard to keep doing the catering business full time. Instead, I turned my catering into a part-time business, and this way I can still do what I love, cooking and serving food for events, while also being there for my family. It's not easy juggling both roles, but I try my best to make it work. Throughout the 7 years of our marriage, my husband and in-laws have never truly supported or acknowledged the small business I run on the side. In their eyes, what I do is not something to be proud of. They see it as unnecessary or even demeaning. They believe that my only job should be to look after the kids and take care of the house. It's frustrating because things were very different before I got married. Before the wedding, both my husband and his family admired the fact that I had my own business. They used to say it was impressive that I earned my own money and that I was hardworking and independent. But once I became part of their family, their expectations changed completely. They wanted me to let go of everything I had built and rely fully on my husband for financial support and decision making. I didn't want to accept it because I've always valued being independent and doing something meaningful for myself. I hold on to my business, no matter what they say, because it gives me a sense of purpose and reminds me of who I am outside of being a wife and a mother. It's more than just a way to earn money. It's something that belongs to me, something I built with my own hands and effort. Makes me feel creative, capable, and proud. In the early years of our marriage, my husband and I used to have many arguments because I continued to work on my catering business part-time. He didn't support my decision. Instead of encouraging me, he often created obstacles that made it hard for me to take on work. There were times when I'd get a good catering opportunity, something I was really excited about, but he would pressure me to cancel it, even when there was no real reason to. Sometimes he would go as far as cancelling the babysitter at the last minute or refusing to help with the kids when he had already agreed to. This would leave me stuck with no option but to call off on my clients at the very last moment. It was incredibly stressful and disappointing that he behaved this way. Made me feel like my efforts and work didn't matter, no matter how hard I tried to make things work for both my family and my business. After going through this pattern over and over again, I finally reached my breaking point. I sat him down and made it very clear that his behavior was unacceptable and could no longer continue. I told him if he kept trying to sabotage my work and continued showing no support or responsibility as a partner and a father, I would leave him, and I meant it. I also made it clear that I would take our children with me, because no child deserves to grow up in an environment filled with tension, disrespect, or emotional manipulation. I believe kids should be around healthy, supportive people, not someone who tries to control or diminish others. It was a boundary I needed to set for the sake of my well-being and my children's future. Eventually, he came to understand that I wasn't going to give up my catering business just because he didn't approve. I stood my ground, and over time he realized that I was serious about continuing my work, no matter how he felt about it. Since then, he's stopped interfering directly. He no longer tries to cancel my plans or create obstacles the way he used to. In that sense, things have become more peaceful. But while he may have stepped back from actively trying to stop me, the attitude is still there. Whenever my work comes up in conversations, especially around others, he can't help but make little jabs or sarcastic remarks. It's his way of showing disapproval without saying it outright. These comments might seem harmless to others, but I know what they really mean. It still hurts, but I try not to let it get to me. At the end of the day, I know why I do what I do, and I'm proud of it, even if he isn't. Last year, I got the chance to work for an Instagram influencer for about a month, and it turned out to be one of the most enjoyable jobs I've had. The work itself was simple. I just had to prepare her dinner every evening, but it was a fun and refreshing experience. She appreciated my cooking, treated me with respect, and paid me very well for my time and effort. It felt good to be recognized for my skills and to be part of something a little different. One day during a family lunch, I was excitedly sharing the experience with some of my relatives. I was proud of the opportunity and wanted to talk about it. But before I could even finish, my husband cut me off and made a snide remark in front of everyone. He said that no one, in their right mind, would pay me that much money, and then added that my cooking wasn't even that good to begin with. He said it in that typical way some husbands do, trying to pass off a rude comment as a harmless joke. He laughed while saying it, and a few others at the table chuckled too, probably thinking it was all in good fun. But it wasn't funny to me. It was embarrassing and hurtful, especially because it was clearly meant to put me down. Then my mother-in-law jumped in and made things worse. She said quite proudly that even she could cook better than me. According to her, if she had started a catering business, she would have earned more than I do. It was clear she wasn't just joking, she meant it, and it stung. I didn't stay quiet. I calmly told her that if she truly believed that, she should absolutely go ahead and start her own business. I said that not out of anger, but to make a point. That it's easy to talk about something you've never tried. Running a catering business isn't just about being a good cook. It takes long hours, planning, dealing with clients, time management, and the ability to work under pressure. Only someone who's actually done it knows how tough it really is. At this, mother-in-law and sister-in-law both scoffed, looking at each other. Sister-in-law then went on to say that my catering business was nothing more than a glorified hobby, something not worthy of real respect. She said that none of them had to do what she called low-standard jobs, just to make money. I froze when I heard this, as if this wasn't already enough. Mother-in-law then told me that no matter how much money I earned, I would always just be a housewife in their eyes, nothing more. Surrounded by family, I felt exposed and small. The words hit me hard, and I felt a deep wave of humiliation wash over me. My husband didn't do anything to support me. When we got home later, things between us quickly turned heated, and we ended up having a nasty fight. I told him how hurt and disappointed I was by how he and his family constantly put me down and made my work seem unimportant. I told him that their words made me feel small and unvalued, and that I deserved respect for everything I do. But instead of understanding how I felt, he told me I was overreacting. He said that his family was just speaking facts and that I needed to accept their opinions instead of making a big deal out of it. It was hard to hear that, especially from my husband, the person I thought should be on my side no matter what. Since all of that happened, I stopped going with my husband to his family parties because I didn't want to be around them anymore. If they didn't respect me, then I didn't need them in my life. I have also stopped participating in big holiday celebrations like Thanksgiving and Christmas with his side of the family. Before, I used to be the one who bought and wrapped all the gifts for my family. I did it quietly, even though my husband never seemed to remember or help with it. But after everything, I decided to stop doing that too. Felt like a way to protect myself and set boundaries. Now, every year I watch quietly as my husband scrambles the night before Christmas, trying to find presents for his parents and sister because he never plans anything ahead. I won't lie, it gives me a small sense of satisfaction to see him face the stress I had carried for so long. Last week I was surprised to see a call from my sister-in-law. She rarely ever reaches out, so I didn't answer at first and let it go to voicemail, but then she called again shortly after. And this time I decided to pick up. When I answered, she told me that she and her fiancé were planning to get married next month. It caught me off guard because we hadn't spoken much lately, and I wasn't expecting this news from her. Even so, I congratulated her sincerely, wanting to keep things polite and respectful despite everything between us. After sharing the news about her wedding, she quickly shifted the conversation to asking for my help. She told me that she and her fiancé hadn't saved much money because they recently bought a house together, and now they were almost bankrupt. Then she said she wanted me to cater their wedding because I'm such a good cook. I asked her what their budget was for the catering, trying to understand what she could realistically afford, and that's when her tone changed. She seemed annoyed and said she didn't have a budget at all. And then she told me quite firmly that since I'm family, I was expected to do it for free. I was taken aback hearing this. Felt like she was taking advantage of me, assuming that because we're related, I should work without pay, no matter the time and effort it would take. The audacity of her asking me to cater her entire wedding for free was shocking. It felt like she didn't care at all about the time, effort, and hard work it takes to prepare food for such a big event. I wasn't going to let her take advantage of me like that. I made it very clear to her that I don't work for free, especially not for weddings. I explained that I usually charge a fair and reasonable amount for catering such events, considering all the planning, cooking, time involved. I told her that if she was willing to pay me properly, I would be happy to send her a contract to formalize everything. Only after we agreed on the terms could we move forward and work together. My sister-in-law immediately started arguing with me. She said it was ridiculous that I was even asking for money and insisted that serving food at her wedding wasn't even a big deal. She acted like it was something easy, not worth paying for. I calmly pointed out that if she thought it was so simple, then she could go ahead and do it herself. I explained that catering a wedding takes a lot of work. Planning, cooking, organizing, making sure everything runs smoothly, and it's not something just anyone can do. At this point, my sister-in-law's frustration overwhelmed her and she started crying during the call. She told me she was the bride and already had so much planning to do. She said that she and her fiancé didn't have the money to pay for catering and really needed my help, so I should just do it for them. I stayed calm and told her firmly, no matter the situation, I wasn't going to work for free. I explained that I understood weddings are stressful and expensive, but my time, effort, and skills deserve to be respected and valued. Her frustration slowly turned into anger, and she then began screaming at me over the phone, trying to guilt me into agreeing. But I knew this wasn't something I could give into, so I ended the call. Ever since that call, my sister-in-law has sent me multiple messages and called me several times. However, I haven't answered any of her calls, nor have I replied to her messages. I've decided to keep my distance because I need to protect my time and energy. It's important for me to stand firm on my boundaries and not give in to pressure, especially when it comes to something as important as my work and how I'm treated. AITA for not working for free for her? Update 1. When my husband came home, he was furious with me. Apparently my sister-in-law had called him as well, and without asking for my side of the story, he immediately agreed that I should cater her wedding for free. He told me that since it was his sister, she had every right to ask me for this favor. It was frustrating and hurtful to hear him say that. Felt like he was dismissing my feelings and my work and siding with his family instead of standing by me. I told him that he had no right to assume anything or make decisions about my work without talking to me first. I made it very clear, if he was so concerned about his sister and wanted to support her, then he should be the one to pay for her wedding catering. After all, she is his family, and it's his responsibility to help her in that way, not mine. I wanted him to understand that my business and my time are important, and that I won't be taken for granted just because of family ties. It was important for me to set that boundary so we could respect each other's roles and responsibilities. When I stood my ground, my husband seemed offended. He told me I was being too much and said that he simply couldn't afford to pay for my catering services. Then he added that he had always allowed me to work after we got married, and the least I could do to repay him was to agree to cater his sister's wedding for free. I scoffed at his words and told him he was nobody to allow me anything. This is the 21st century. I'm my own woman and I earn my own money. I chose to do this work because of my passion for cooking and serving others. I don't owe anyone anything for pursuing what I love. I made it clear that my career and my independence aren't favors granted by him or anyone else. They are my achievements, built through my own hard work and dedication. No one has the right to make me feel like I'm indebted to them or should give up what matters to me just because of family ties. I made it very clear to him, no matter how much he argued, I would never agree to cater his sister's wedding for free. I told him he needed to get that through his head once and for all. This sparked a huge fight between us. During the argument, he called me several hurtful names, trying to intimidate me into backing down. But when he saw that I wasn't afraid and wouldn't be pushed around, he escalated his words, accusing me of being a home wrecker and claiming that I was deliberately trying to hurt him and his family. Despite the harsh words and threats, I stood firm, refusing to let fear or guilt control my decisions. It was a painful moment, but also one where I realized how important it is to hold my ground no matter how difficult things get. After our fight, he packed a suitcase and left the house to stay with his parents because he didn't want to spend the night with me. Honestly, at this point, I don't care anymore. I'm deeply hurt and offended by how he's been treating me in my work. I'm seriously thinking about leaving him for good. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. I refuse to be put in a position where I'm expected to work for free or be made to feel like my efforts and independence don't matter. I deserve respect, not just as a wife and mother, but as a person with my own passions and career. I know standing up for myself won't be easy, but I'm ready to do it because I can't keep sacrificing my self-worth for the sake of keeping the peace. Update 2. After the fight last night and my husband leaving to stay with his parents, my mother-in-law called me today. It was obvious she was taking her children's side without even hearing my perspective. She launched into a rant saying that everyone needs to pitch in for her daughter's wedding. She went on to insist that my sister-in-law asking me to cater the wedding shouldn't be a problem at all because I already catered to so many people. It felt like they were completely disregarding my feelings and the hard work that goes into my business. To them, I'm just expected to drop everything and help no matter what. I told her firmly that I needed to be paid for my work. I made it clear that if she couldn't or wouldn't pay me, then she shouldn't expect anyone to work for free. Not me or anyone else. She responded by calling me stubborn and hot-headed, trying to dismiss my feelings and make me seem unreasonable. Then she told me that I should actually feel flattered to have been asked to cater the wedding, saying it was a rare chance for me to show the rest of the family my superior cooking talent. It was frustrating to hear her twist the situation like that, acting like I should be grateful instead of respected. I realized then just how little they value my time and effort and how they expect me to sacrifice everything just to keep the peace in the family. I told her firmly I didn't have anything to prove to anyone, especially not to their family. I made it clear that no matter what she said or how she tried to pressure me, I wasn't going to agree to cater the wedding for free or accept any demands that didn't respect my time and work. I wanted her to understand my decisions come from a place of self-respect and that I won't let anyone guilt me into sacrificing what I've built or what matters to me. Standing my ground was important and I wasn't going to back down no matter how much they pushed. Later, my sister-in-law called me again. I was growing really tired of all these calls and constant pressure. I just wish she would finally understand once and for all that I'm not a pushover. No matter how much the family keeps pushing or trying to threaten me, I'm not going to change my mind or give in. This isn't something I'm willing to compromise on, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it makes things. My sister-in-law told me that everyone is really disappointed in me for not giving in to their demands. I responded calmly but firmly, telling her that it was okay. I can live with that disappointment because honestly, their respect doesn't mean anything to me anyway. I made it clear that I value my own self-respect far more than trying to please people who don't appreciate my hard work or boundaries. Their disappointment won't make me change my mind or compromise on what I believe is right for me and my family. My sister-in-law argued that I had no reason to say no and accused me of doing it out of spite. That's when I reminded her of all the years she and the rest of the family had bullied me, made fun of my catering business. I told her how hurtful it was that after all those years of criticism and disrespect, they still expected me to work for free for the wedding. She brushed it off, saying that all those criticisms were just to toughen me up, and that they didn't really mean anything, but to me it felt like they were trying to justify their hurtful behavior instead of owning up to how they made me feel. I told her that I still remember how she called my catering business a hobby and humiliated me in front of everyone. So if she thinks that way, then fine, she was right. I don't do my glorified hobby for just anyone, especially not for people I don't like or who don't respect me. I made it very clear to my sister-in-law that this would be the last time I ever discussed this with her. I warned her that if she ever called me again about this matter, I would have no choice but to block her. It was important for me to set this final boundary to protect my peace and my work from further disrespect. She threatened me, saying, "Well, if you won't cater my wedding, then you're not invited." I just laughed and said, honestly, I don't want to go to a wedding where the guests aren't even going to be served dinner. She was shocked, and I could tell she didn't expect me to talk back like that, but I wasn't going to back down. Sometimes you just have to call things like they are and stand up for yourself. After the phone call ended, I let out a laugh. It felt surprisingly good to finally stand my ground and speak up for myself. For so long I had been pushed around and made to feel small, but now I wasn't going to let that happen anymore. No matter how much they tried to pressure me or make me feel guilty, my mind is made up. I'm going to protect what's mine, my business, my passion, my self-respect. This is my choice. I'm ready to face whatever comes next with strength and confidence. Update 3. Hello everyone, it's been 3 months since my last update. A lot has changed, and honestly I don't think it will come as a surprise to anyone. My husband and I are currently going through a divorce. Ever since the situation with my sister-in-law, things between us have only gotten worse. That incident didn't just cause a fight, it brought deeper issues to the surface that had been building up for years. The lack of respect, the constant pressure, and the one-sided expectations in our relationship became impossible to ignore. I tried to hold things together for as long as I could, but at some point I realized that staying in the marriage meant continuing to lose pieces of myself, and I wasn't willing to do that anymore. At the heart of it, my husband just couldn't accept the fact that I wasn't willing to work for his family for free. To him, loyalty to his family meant I should sacrifice my time, energy, and self-respect without question. But to me, loyalty goes both ways. And I couldn't ignore the fact that he has never truly had my back in anything that mattered to me. I stood by him, supported him, tried to be there for his family even when they disrespected me. But when it came to something as basic as valuing my work and standing up for myself, he wasn't there. That imbalance became impossible to live with. I realized I couldn't keep pouring into someone who never once stepped in to protect or support me. I was the one who initiated the divorce. At first, he tried to fight it, maybe out of shock, maybe out of pride, but over time, he finally accepted that our relationship was broken beyond repair. He has since moved out completely, taking all his things and choosing to go live with his parents. Meanwhile, the kids and I are coping the best we can. Hasn't been easy. There are tough days, emotional moments, and plenty of adjustments, but deep down, I believe this is the right decision for all of us. It may be a struggle right now, but I truly believe that with time, healing, and a little patience, we're going to be just fine. Update 4. It's been 2 months since my last update, and a lot has happened. The divorce is now finally complete. It's officially over. My ex-husband and I are no longer tied together. And while it hasn't been an easy journey, it's one I know was necessary. Closing that chapter has brought a strange mix of sadness and relief. But just when I thought I could start moving forward in peace, my ex-sister-in-law made sure to remind me that some people just can't help but stir the pot. Barely a day after the divorce was finalized, she tagged me in a photo she posted online. A family picture with a caption that read, "We're finally free from her. Now she can never try to break our family ever again." It felt petty and calculated, almost like she was just waiting for the right moment to take a public jab at me, as if I had spent my entire marriage trying to tear their family apart rather than just trying to exist with self-respect. But I'm not playing along. I saw the post, read the words, and something in me just snapped. Maybe it was the pettiness of tagging me in a photo I clearly had no business being part of. Maybe it was the way she twisted the story, acting like I was some villain who tried to break their family, when all I ever did was draw a line and demand basic respect. So I decided to comment under her post, sharp, honest, and unapologetically direct. I wrote this: "Finally free? Girl, please. Your family wasn't held hostage. I just stopped letting you all walk all over me. Funny how I was the problem only after I refused to cater your entire wedding for free. You mocked my business for years, called it a hobby, and suddenly wanted to cash in on it when it suited you. Now you want to play victim? Sit down. You're just loud and entitled, like your mommy." It didn't take long before people started liking the comment. A few even added their own remarks, openly mocking and questioning sister-in-law why she would ever want me to do her entire wedding catering for free in the first place. Others pointed out how strange it was to tag an ex-family member just to publicly gloat. Clearly people saw through the act. Within a few hours, the post was taken down. She deleted it. No explanation, no response, just silence. And to me, that said everything. She was clearly humiliated, not because of what I said, but because people agreed. Anyway, I've blocked her now. I want absolutely nothing to do with her or her petty drama anymore. Let her and my ex stay in their little bubble of bitterness. I'm done giving them space in my mind or energy from my life. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.